Hi and welcome back to my channel. I will be creating glowing whimsical mossy pumpkins from trash, of course. So to get started, I had to save these containers from various produce. So what I'm going to do is cut out the center pieces that are flat. And I have an idea to use maybe these two light sources for inside the pumpkins. I want more of a flame glowing look to the inside of the pumpkins. So those are my bulbs. And once I have everything cut out where I'm just dealing with the flat plastic, I go ahead and freehand a template from a piece of very thin cardboard. And then I take that and I trace several pieces. For this pumpkin, the first pumpkin, I actually traced out 7 pieces. And then for my scraps, I just ended up taping those together to make a bigger piece and then trace the extra pieces that I needed. Now that I have all my pieces cut, I'm going to take some clear tape and tape the fronts and the backs. Now, when I was envisioning this, I knew that in order to have the most glow or illumination for my pumpkins, the skeletal base needed to be made of clear items. So you have as much light being able to shine through as possible. So that's why everything here I'm going with clear trash. I mean, the tape is not trash, of course. But all the plastic containers, clear. I even took the stickers off of the containers. That way I didn't want anything to obstruct the light. Now that the final piece is taped to make a complete cylinder, I will then go in and start taping down the tops. So I'm going to do 2 by 2 and tape until everything is secured on top. Now with this specific design of pumpkin, it is a little bit taller in size and not, a chunky pumpkin. I love pumpkins because they come in every single shape pretty much and color just besides orange, and you'll see later on what color I did choose for my pumpkins because it matches my decor the best. Now this next step is taking some clear wrap, and honestly I had no idea what length I needed, so I just eyeballed this part. So I just took the length and then I multiplied that length several times by measuring each piece with each piece. And now I'm just folding it 2 times over, and then those pieces are going to go along and make the rinds. I don't know what the ridges, the ridges of the pumpkin. And then I just tape all of that down. And see, here is my pumpkin. This is a little bit taller, and now the next step is I'm going to go in with just watered down glue and some thinner white tissue paper. Normally I use my bamboo unbleached tissue paper, which I couldn't find it when I started this pumpkin, so that's why I opted to use the white. Now, through my experimentation, I did find that in order to get the most light shining through the pumpkin, I would probably suggest doing white. Either white paper towels, white tissue paper would be the best for this. I felt like my bamboo tissue paper made the pumpkin, my smaller pumpkin, as you'll see shortly, a little bit more opaque, which is fine. I still got a subtle shine that came through that specific pumpkin, so I didn't mind at all. Now you will see that I did find my bamboo tissue paper, and I did give it an additional coat with that one on top. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking my stencil and I'm finding the perfect size in order to trace on the bottom and to carve out so my light can fit snugly. So I'm just going ahead and making the stencil here. And then I will be using my hot knife to cut through the material. It was just the easiest to do that way. Now with that part, I did make sure I was running my air purifier just so I was not inhaling all of those nasty fumes. But I definitely would recommend being in a well-ventilated area and wearing some type of respiratory mask. Those fumes are pretty toxic and I know they give me a headache. So now I'm just painting on an experimental mixture. I decided to take watered down glue, some of my acrylics for this specific color, and then I added some wheat flour. I know that probably sounds a little odd, but I wanted some texture to the surface of the pumpkin, and this is my outcome. I did go in with a little bit of a lighter color as well. And now I'm just placing this preserved pumpkin stem on the top. And this is actually not the stem I'm going to be using for this pumpkin. So using the heat gun on the top surface, you make it warm enough and then just press the stem down so the pumpkin has a natural, I guess, indentation on the top of the pumpkin where the stem would be growing out of. Now here's my second pumpkin, a little bit smaller. For the smaller pumpkin, I just made a slightly shorter template for my skeleton pieces, and I added an additional piece. So the first pumpkin I used 7 pieces, this one is 8 pieces, and it gave more of a rounder effect for this pumpkin. So now I'm going to go in, and instead of starting with white tissue paper, I'm starting with the bamboo. Now I think with doing this method is why it wasn't as translucent as the first pumpkin with the light shining through, which is fine. This is all an experiment, so I'm just flowing with it. I love the outcome either way of both pumpkins. And here's another dehydrated stem. So you warm the top, press it down so it can make a little dent on top of the pumpkin, form better to the stem. And so this is side by side. So I have my first pumpkin and then my second one. I love how they're very unique in their own ways, just like pumpkins are. And I love the color. I know this color is not going to be for everyone, but you know, they're for my home. So if anyone does decide to try this, the possibilities are endless here. So what I've decided to do, instead of using these dehydrated stems, I'm going to go ahead and make molds. So I found this product that is a 2-part. You mixed part A and B together to make a silicone mold that sets in about 15 to 20 minutes. So this is the first time using this product, and boy did I learn a lot. It was messy, and as you can see there, I was thinking, oh, I can just pick up the pieces of silicone that fell that are uncured and it'll stick to what's in my hand. No, that didn't. It ruined my little mat, but I was able to save my working mat. I would definitely roll that out and work on maybe some wax paper or foil, potentially, probably wax paper. It wouldn't stick as it did to my silicone mat. But I'm just going to form it around these 2 stems, and then that way I can pour my eco resin into these molds and I can just make pumpkin stems for as long as I want to make pumpkins. So I thought this was a neat idea, so I get to reuse it over and over again. So I definitely did learn a lot by using this product. See, it's already sticking it to my mat, so that was fun. Now that I made this process for both stems, and I let that cure. Off camera, I took those out, and then I added in my eco resin. So I just mixed the eco resin with water and then poured that into the molds and let that sit until it cured. Once they popped out, I just gave them a good coat of paint, just various brown paints, and here they are. I think they turned out really well. I think they look very, very realistic, so I'm quite happy. And I did decide to swap the stems for the pumpkins per my little one's suggestion, which I do agree the fatter stem does look better on the shorter pumpkin. Now, I am a mossy gal and I love a lot of moss, so of course I couldn't make these pumpkins without adding some moss. So here I just started with some fine turf. So this is a fine dark green turf, and then I'm just putting it, various patches all over the pumpkin where moss would show up. And then once I've decided that I have everything filled in and it looks good to me, actually I had to control myself because I probably would have made the whole pumpkin mossy, but I had to step back from that. So of course, if you do try making these pumpkins, you can omit this step, and the possibilities are endless with these pumpkins, to be honest. You can paint them any color you desire. You can, who knows, you paint shapes or anything you want to, but this is just what I did for our specific decor. Now what I'm doing now is taking my glue mixture and I am layering some more medium turf on top for some more volume. So here's the final reveal, and I hope that you guys like how they turned out. I just love them so much. So here's my whimsically spooky tree, and I put them at the base. Here they are. They're so cute, just resting on their pile of moss. And then this is them illuminated. So as you can see, the taller pumpkin is a lot more bright. However, the shorter pumpkin, it just has little pops of brightness that come out. Almost looks like an ember that is dying down. So I like the variation between the two. And I love how they look even without the lights on. So let me know if this is something that you would give a try or what you thought about these. Like I said, I love them, and this whole project was an experiment for me. So I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot of things. But here's the final look, and then here's some still shots of the tree all set up and illuminated and without the lights. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be back again, so make sure you subscribe if you want to see more creations. Bye bye, guys.